Just a few highlights through week 1 of Texans training camp. It's day 8. The guys are back out there in full pads. It's day 8. I'm DP Sidhu along with my good friend Drew Doherty. Welcome in to Training Camp Live, presented by Xfinity, as we show you a live look at some of the players as they get warmed up. And a lot of those players in that highlight reel, I'm sure we'll get some questions a little bit later from fans, so be sure to drop those in and we'll try to get to them, to get to as many of them as we can.
That's right, and in the middle of the action there in the red shirt and the white bucket hat is head coach David Culley. He's just walking off to the right side of the screen, and Nick Caserio, the general manager, is there as well. He just popped off to the right as well. And you might have seen some zebra stripes. That's right. NFL officials in the mix today. They're going to be out at practice. Saw them in the cafeteria this morning when I was walking in, getting my coffee, some ice, and getting going. But yeah, that's always a fun day when the officials come to practice to help things out and move things along. So we'll see some of that. And Texans getting going. They got the shoulder pads on, DP.
Yeah, I love when they're in full pads. Yesterday, the team got to work in the red zone. They had done a little red zone work on Saturday, but they were not in full pads. So now they're in full pads. Yesterday, they got some work there. They did a lot of team drills. It was no fans. It was very quiet. They were on field too, but they're back out at again today, and I cannot wait to see how this team develops, because we heard from the defensive coordinator, Lovie Smith. We heard from offensive coordinator, Tim Kelly. We heard from special teams coordinator, Frank Ross, through the first week of camp and what they thought so far. And I thought that, Drew, was very encouraging. Lovie said he is really, really happy with installation and how it's gone so far. And I think we can really get a sense of the D linemen now with the pads on. So he had a lot of great comments. I'm sure we're going to get to some of these players, but he was asked about Roy Lopez. He was asked about guys like Charles Amenahu and position flexibility. And I think a lot of us did not quite know how that was going to look with the 4-3 defense, transitioning from a 3-4. But I thought it was great, some of Lovie's comments and how he expects these guys to fit into the D-line. But so far, that's been an exciting group to watch, Drew.
It sure has, yeah. And he's seen so much. I mean, he's seen so many training camps in his time, high school, college, and the NFL. So it's going to be fun to see how it all comes to shake out once the regular season starts. But that was encouraging, hearing what he had to say as far as the installation. Because, hey, for the last decade here, this team, this franchise has been running on a 3-4, whether it was Romeo Crennel the last few years and before him, Wade Phillips for a spell. So, yeah, it's a big change. You switch up the personnel. You bring in different types of players at the linebacker spot in the front seven. So, yeah, it's coming, and we'll get another little taste of it today.
Yeah, and you see some of the DBs out there. I'm not sure if they're working on special teams drills or if they're working on one-on-one drills, but as far as the defensive backs go, Justin Reed, some early reports from practice, he was trying his hand at extra point kicks. So we'll blend DBs and special teams together, shall we?
Well, let's hold on. We don't want rumors starting here. Justin Reed, until like the middle of high school. He missed the field goal. Yeah, until the middle of high school. He was an amazing soccer player. He was very, very involved, played soccer growing up in Louisiana. And then he switched over to American football. But he'll still screw around and kick the ball, and he could probably be relied upon if Cameron Johnston were not able to fill in for Kaimi Fairbairn. He could probably kick and help the Texans out in that regard, because he's a very accomplished soccer player. And, we've seen him juggle the soccer ball. We saw that when he was a rookie in 2018 at training camp up in West Virginia, because there was a soccer ball on the field for some reason. He was juggling it and looked good. So, no, calm down. Justin Reed is not going to be a kicker or punter for this team unless it's a super-duper emergency. And
there's the D-line right there as they get ready for practice. You see some familiar faces and some new faces, because the D-line's got a lot of new players. Number 95, Derek Rivers, and we saw number 90, Ross Blacklock, walking around there in a little bit too, who's entering in year 3, and Lovie was asked about him as well.
Yeah, Lovie had some nice things to say about him. The day before, David Culley said, it looks like Blacklock is playing very, very fast. He said the word fast about 7 times, and it looks like he's more comfortable this year as opposed to last. He was a rookie last year. COVID was going on, so he didn't have the normal OTAs and rookie minicamp and all that other stuff. So this is much better. I wrote a little bit about it in Dear Drew, which, hey, if your question doesn't get answered right now, I'll try and answer some more of them in Dear Drew. But basically, last year, the most amount of snaps he played in a game was about 49% of them, and that was in the season finale. It went down to as low as like 8 or 9 snaps and he'd have some in the 20s, some in the teens. So he's trying to get on the field more, and it looks like that's going to happen because Cully said he's playing fast, and you heard the nice stuff from Lovie Smith yesterday.
And you've got Bobby King that's coaching that group, and I think Bobby is there in the green shirt somewhere in the middle of the mix. He was coaching linebackers last year, and he's very happy to be coaching that group. He said that's generally where he's coached in the past. So he's sort of been out of position coaching linebackers, but he stays on staff, and you see number 91 there, Jaleel Johnson, number 95, Derek Rivers, and I think that's Shaq Lawson next to him. Yes, it's Shaq Lawson, number 93. It's hard to see these numbers sometimes when they're standing off to the side, but a lot of new players. Vincent Taylor is a guy that we've been hearing a lot about as well. DeMarcus Walker, who had just come off of the active non-football injury list. He is now playing, and he's just had a few days in camp, and he's really impressed so far as well. So this D-line group, there's a lot of depth to it.
Yeah.
Drew.
And, it kind of fits in nicely with the question here by Jay Kelly. He's asking, or she's asking, are there any standout players on the defense? You just reeled off a few of them. I talked a little bit about Blacklock. I've really been impressed with Desmond King, the cornerback. I mean, he has given the wide receivers for the Texans fits so far and really come up with some big plays, really come away with some takeaways as well, which is something he did in 2018 when he was an All-Pro. He was always around the ball. So, Jay Kelly, if you're asking me to name one guy, I'm going to go with Desmond King. He's been really, really impressive. Now, take all of that with a grain of salt because it's so situational sometimes. Was he going against was he going in a matchup that was more advantageous for him because he's playing against these guys and he knows these guys and they're his teammates? But I've been very, very impressed with Desmond King.
Yeah, a guy that I'm impressed with, Roy Lopez, because for a rookie, a lot of coaches have been talking about him. A lot of the media have been talking about him. And I know around here we really temper enthusiasm when it comes to rookies. Yep. And it seems like there still is enthusiasm bubbling up for the rookie D lineman. He is got the wrestling background. So I wonder, how much of that is really helping him. We've got a lot of wrestlers on the team, actually. He's not the only one. But Lovie Smith described him as strong and compact and that he's flashed. He's flashed so far in camp. And it's only a weekend, so that's very, very encouraging so far.
And it's somebody that we were joking about after practice yesterday because the four of us, you, me, John Harris, and Mark Vandermeer, were screwing around, getting ready to shoot something. And Mark said, I called him, I called that he was going to be, and I said, whoa. The moment he got drafted, I called that this guy was going to be good. So, yeah, it's somebody that has all of us pretty enthused and we've got our eyes on him. But, yeah, Lopez so far looks like a player.
I think Nick Caserio would argue with both of you that he called it.
Well,
for
of
all
course,
of you guys.
Nick Caserio.
So,
yeah,
he's
got dibs.
I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not trying to take credit for anything.
But those a level below.
German Texan, what does a day at training camp look like for each of you? Well, thanks for the question, and thanks for watching from so far away. A day at training camp starts off, I get here a little bit early to prep for this show and to sort of prep for my day. But
4 a.m. she gets here.
I get here at 4 a.m. No, I don't. I used to work out, but that hasn't really happened. I'm trying to get into my training camp routine. Get here, prep for the show. We bring you live looks at practice. And then immediately after the show, Drew and I head out to practice, and then we watch the rest of it. I take a lot of notes. So that I can remember day to day what's happened. I also put up a notes and quotes after practice. And then Drew and I, we get players on the field, which is exciting because we weren't able to do that last year. And I did not realize how much I missed one-on-one player interviews. So we get a chance to really get to know these guys on another level. And then we listen to press conferences. We come in, we write our stories. We try to answer emails and get actual work done. It's hard. It's hard when you've been out for 3 hours. But you know what? We love it. And the weather's been great. So training camp has actually been flying by so far.
Yeah, I'll sprinkle in a few little off the beaten path
Yeah, what do you
things.
do, Drew?
When I come back in after, I do basically everything that DP said, and then when we walk back in, we usually walk back in together. I stop and I get my lunch like immediately. I eat because I'm starving, and then after I finish eating, so I don't fall asleep because I've been out in the sun, I'm back in the cool AC and I've got a full belly. I get up and I walk a lap around like the club level of the stadium on the third level. Yeah, to kind of like burn some time and burn some energy and get woken back up. And then I start transcribing some things, editing some podcasts, and getting a little article or two ready. Yeah.
Actually, I didn't know that you took a lap around.
I try to. Yeah.
I take a full shower.
Sometimes two. Yeah.
I bring an entire change of clothes to take a full shower.
I might do that today. Yeah, I've got all my stuff here today.
Yeah, but if I ate, I would fall asleep at my desk. So I try to get as much stuff done before I'm super hungry.
Try the lap, DP.
That seems like work.
The first, third, and fifth levels, you can go all the way around.
Jimmy wants to know, does there seem to be a clear-cut number one running back, or will it be more of a collective effort? That is a great question, Jimmy. and one that we've been talking about for the last few days because this running back group is very talented. They're very versatile, and they've been getting a lot of carries in team periods. And it's really hit or miss who gets the first carry with first team.
I got a variation of this question yesterday. It's who's going to be RB1. So I answered that by saying, I think Phillip Lindsay. I'll answer this by saying, because his is, does there seem to be a clear-cut number one? Right now, I don't think there is one. I think Lindsay will win it, and I think he'll get most of the carries compared to the other guys. But I do think you're going to see a lot of other guys. I don't think you're going to see a two-back system like we've seen around here for a while, when really it was just like a one-back with Lamar Miller and a few handoffs here and there to Alfred Blue. I don't think you're going to see that. I think it's going to be much more evenly distributed. And a collective effort, yes, but I do think it'll be something like this guy gets 12 carries a game, this guy gets 7 carries, maybe this guy gets 4. I think it's going to be a mix. I don't think you're going to see one guy get 25 carries a game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is it going to be Phillip Lindsay?
I think it'll be Lindsay.
David Johnson? Will it be Mark Ingram? I mean, they all have such a different style. I think Lindsay's sort of small and quick and shifty, and the other two, maybe they're better up the middle between the tackles. They're a little bit bigger back. So I think it really just depends on the team they're playing who's going to end up getting more carries. So I just don't think there's going to be a clear-cut number one RB. Now, that could change as soon as preseason starts and the season gets going and they see one guy just has more success because this offensive line is still coming together. So maybe it just lends itself to one guy having more success on the field than the others. It's really, really hard to say right now because right now they all look good in camp.
Yeah.
That leads us to our next question from Christian. Do you think Charlie Heck could be a starter? Charlie Heck is a second-year offensive lineman. He has a mustache this year, which we asked him about. He's going to keep the mustache, but he's also shown some great things in camp so far. I don't know if he'll be a starter. I think he's probably more of a swing tackle if there's an injury or he needs to slide in there.
Well,
those are just my thoughts, but
yeah,
it is still a competition out there.
I think that's what we've been conditioned to think, and understandably so, but Christian, yes, he could be a starter. The way he's played and the way he's progressed and the way he has gotten better really since this time last year. You'll get what he did late December when he came in. He was very helpful up front, helping the Texans move the chains and actually run the ball a little bit better, and he was one of the reasons why. And then he's had a really good offseason. He was outstanding in May and in June, and it's looking like it's keeping up right now. So, yes, he could be a starter, but I scratch my head and I think where? Because you've got Laramie Tunsil, who's an all-pro at left tackle, or a pro bowler at left tackle, could be an all-pro. And then I think Titus Howard has looked really good, and he has buried guys. So I don't know if yes, he could be a starter, but I don't know where you'd put him. But he's playing well, and that's a good problem that you're having, and a good question to ask, and a good question that these guys are having to contemplate.
All right, you see a live look at the wide receivers warming up out there. One wide receiver that we get lots of questions about. He's heading into year 2, Isaiah Coulter. Drew Doherty got a chance to catch up with him with an edition of Drew's Dozen.
Isaiah Coulter, wide receiver, second year for the Houston Texans with me, Drew Doherty, and is Big Play Zay your favorite nickname?
Yeah, that's probably my favorite one.
What are your other nicknames?
Zay. Some like in high school, I got Izzo. That's about it. Not too many names.
Nobody calls you Izzo out here, though, do they?
No. Just back at home and at school. So.
Tell me about your heroes growing up. Who are your football heroes?
I'm a big Randy Moss.
Isaiah Coulter, wide receiver, second year for the Houston Texans with me, Drew Doherty, and is Big Play Zay your favorite nickname?
Yeah, that's probably my favorite one.
What are your other nicknames?
Zay. Some like in high school, I got Izzo. That's about it. Not too many names.
Nobody calls you Izzo out here, though, do they?
No. Just back at home and at school. So.
Tell me about your heroes growing up. Who are your football heroes?
I'm a big Randy Moss guy. I really like Randy Moss a lot. Another guy I like to watch was Deion Sanders. He was pretty cool. I like a lot of throwback players. So a lot of those guys back in the day. So that's pretty much it.
How old were you when you started watching the game of football?
Probably around 7, 8. So I was pretty young. So I've been around football my whole life. My uncle played for the 49ers. So I kind of grew up on that. So yeah.
And your uncle was or is?
Walter Easley. He played for the 49ers. Won a Super Bowl with Joe Montana. So.
Was that your favorite team growing up because your uncle played for him?
Yeah, probably the 49ers, so yeah.
Well, that's nothing wrong with that. You got to keep it in the family, right? Sure. All right, this time now versus a year ago, what have you gotten better at the most since coming into the NFL?
I would say just getting the plays down, just feeling more comfortable, getting in certain spots, reading the defenses and things like that, it's once you get to this level, it's a whole new game. So I'll probably say just adjusting to the speed of the game.
I saw you working after practice with Kiki QT. He's been around here a little while. I've seen you around Brandon Cooks quite a bit. Who on this squad has kind of helped you out the most as far as getting better?
A lot of the older guys. So Kiki, that's my guy. Brandon, of course, and Andre Roberts. We just got him. So probably those three guys the most that I really go to and ask a lot of questions.
And then on the other side of the ball, which DBs have really kind of honed your skills and made you better and been a tough challenge for you?
I like to talk to Roby a lot. He real good press man. So whenever I get to go against him, I like to give him what I got, and then once we finish, I go back to the side and ask him like what you thought about this and that. So probably Roby.
And what's the first thing you do when you get out of bed in the morning?
I brush my teeth.
It's good. So fresh breath's important, huh?
Yeah, I brush my teeth, so you got to stay clean.
Got a nice smile there, nice white teeth. That'll work. Okay. So when you're working with QT and doing that drill where you're laying on the ground to catch the ball, what's that all about?
Just hand-eye coordination, tracking the ball in different spots. Because in practice or the game, you never know where the ball might come. So you just want to practice those different spots, really concentrating on the ball, following it all the way to your hand. So just the little things.
Do you ever catch bricks like Jerry Rice used to, or tennis balls sometimes coming from a jugs machine? Or do you ever catch anything weird, try and catch football better?
I catch tennis balls, not bricks, though. I haven't done bricks yet.
That's a little...
I do the rice, too, for grip. Like do the rice, put my hand in rice and kind of just do little exercises like that.
I've never heard of a football player doing that. It makes sense because grip strength is important for whatever you do. But I remember Roger Clemens, a pitcher in Major League Baseball, used to do that. Okay, what's your perfect meal?
I'm a big taco guy, so probably just a couple of tacos and a nice lemonade. I'm good to go.
That's perfect. Okay, let's go a little deeper. What's the perfect taco that you're making?
I'm going to go ground beef, lettuce, cheese, sour cream, and that's it. I'm a plain guy.
Hard taco or soft?
Gotta go hard taco.
Ooh, very controversial. Hard taco, but it's your perfect meal, not my perfect meal or your perfect meal. Isaiah Coulter, it's great to talk with you. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Nice to meet you guys.
The second-year wide receiver from Rhode Island heading into year 2. We got so many questions about Isaiah Coulter last year, Drew. Your thoughts from getting to chat with him?
Good guy. Here's the timeline of what you just mentioned. At about 10:30 on a noon game day, the inactives would come out. At about 10:31 on a noon game day, I'd get about 4 tweets. Why isn't Isaiah Coulter starting? There was always
people were irate.
Yeah, there was an anger there, and people wanted to see him. And he was an unknown quantity. And I brought that up with him. I kind of said, "Hey, I got a lot of questions." He's like, "Hey, I'm coming. I'll be there. I'll be there this year." He's like, "Look out." He's a very good guy to talk with. He was talking about speed of the game. It slowed down a lot for him, now as opposed to last year. Coming from Rhode Island, he grew up in Maryland, just outside of D.C., and then played his ball at Rhode Island. So he's learning a lot. He said he leaned on 3 guys, as you heard in that interview: Kiki QT, Brandon Cooks, and Andre Roberts. Or he's leaning on 3 guys to learn from, and they've been good as far as that goes. And then he's loved it when he's had a chance to match up against Bradley Roby. He said, nobody's better at press coverage than him, and so he's picking Bradley Roby's brain about how can I get better, what should I do here, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, Coulter was a guy from last year who you didn't see much of, and maybe we'll see a little bit more of him this season.
He's doing all the right things, so hope to see a big season from him this year. It's a tough group. It's a competitive group, and I know we've got so many more questions to get to, but they're about to wrap up here in a little bit, so I would encourage you to keep those questions coming because Drew's going to try to. I'm going to make Drew answer the rest of the questions in Dear Drew, special training camp edition every single day.
Yeah, it's it's like basically a mailbag. So these questions, the ones that we didn't get to, we're going to try to answer, or I'll try to answer as many of them as I can later today after practice. So look for that around 2:30, 3 o'clock, maybe even sooner if I get my lap done quickly.
He's got to use
after
lunch first.
But yeah, we appreciate hearing from you, and we want to get to as many of them as we can, but we're just crunched on time right now. So Dear Drew will hopefully pick up some of those leftovers.
You can check it out on HoustonTexans.com as well as the press conferences. I'll have notes and quotes. John Harris will have Harris Hits. We've got everything from camp today. Every single day we'll reset you and keep you up to date with all the happenings here at the Houston Methodist Training Center. That's going to do it for Training Camp Live presented by Xfinity. A lot of people have worked on this show, so I want to give a special shout out to Tyler Marcotte, Caroline Jordan, Einav Leibowitz, Amanda Caffey, Alex Lozano. Out in the field with the camera, Jay McDevitt, Mitchell Moreland, Drew Doherty, and myself on behalf of all of us. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, go Texans.